about 70% of kids quit youth sports or just stop playing about at the age of, don't quote me exactly, like 13, 14, because they burn out, right? It's almost like you're a child and you're not allowed to be a child. And now the adult is expecting you to behave and work like an adult because of that rat race that so-and-so is training, you need to too, right? If the kid doesn't love it. So we almost want that, we wish that journey that we would have been on, we want it for our kids.
Addy ball. What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Think RBA Podcast, where real ballers adjust. Boy Ken, my man Hak. We coming at you on YouTube every week. Don't miss an episode. Like, follow, subscribe, smash all the alerts. Be noticed for our content. Please jump in the comments. Tell us what your thoughts are. Give us all your hot takes. And with that, sir, give us the RBA rewind of the week.
Bro, we have a rewind.
We do.
Man, Pacers game 4, Pacers Thunder game 4, Shea's heroics. This man said, I'm gonna put my cape on and get to work. So we're gonna talk about that.
Fourth quarter damage.
That's right. Mid-range assassin. Deep or not that deep. NFL contracts, right? Some key notable players who are having a little bit of a kerfuffle is the word we used last time, right? You know, with management. So we'll see where that is. Little tug of war. Capitalism of youth sports, a big topic nowadays. A lot of the pivots talking about it. Mind the Game's talking about it. LeBron, Luka, Steve Nash, all of them. They're talking about it. Right, so we get into that. And then obviously we finish off with the RBA. You down for that?
Let's go.
All right, so let's start off with the cape on. Let's get to work.
About time.
It's about time. So game 4, right? And the Pacers in Indiana. Now this was a little bit of a flip script where the Pacers were up most of the game. And then end of the game, it was usually the Pacers come back. They make an epic comeback. Tyrese Halliburton hits some crazy shot. Always on the right side of the court. Always on the right side of the court. Did I mention always on the right side of the court?
You did.
Okay. And film study, point noted, key, just saying. And this time Shea said, no, it's my turn. Let me do this. And this guy said, I'm going to put my cape on, fourth quarter, 15 points, 5 minutes, unstoppable, mid-range master, 0 assists, which means he just said, enough, I'm taking over. Good or bad thing, I don't know, but they came out with the win. Sir, what are your thoughts?
Oh, I have so many. Where do I start with? First, I'll start with the Pacers. They have a formula, and being ahead is not part of the formula. Yeah. So I'm gonna need them to get back to Pacers basketball, which is
play from behind.
To lose until the last few seconds of the game, right? Yeah. It seems to be working for them, and so I'm gonna need them to get back to that. Yeah, I mean, they didn't have it.
Yeah, they didn't.
It got super physical.
Yes.
Scott Foster was involved.
Of course there was.
And this was time for somebody to step up and take over, right?
Yes.
And that was, hey, finally. And that's why I said before, like, it's about time because, like, he had a really, 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 really good game 1 that was completely overshadowed.
Yes.
By the fact that the Pacers came back and won.
That Tyrese Halliburton went right.
Right. He did go right.
He went right.
I know. You were really stuck on that. Yeah. He went right to his spot.
Yes.
And pulled up
on the right, to the right.
With his own mid-range master.
Correct.
But that good game was overshadowed. A couple of decent games, but, they come back and handle business 2, 3. 3 was an atrocious game, right? And even this one, I mean, up until the fourth quarter, you could say the MVP has disappeared. And then he came alive in the fourth quarter with I think he had 15 points. He had 14 what they call clutch time points, which was double what the Pacers had. Right. So obviously he was clutch down the stretch of that game. He is the reason why technically the Pacers were behind. I mean, the Pacers were ahead, but
the Thunder were behind.
But the Thunder came back. The Pacers still had a chance to win from behind. Sure. But like technically, we need more of this. Like if they're gonna win, for real. All jokes aside, they're gonna win. They need 2 more games of this from Shea. I mean, but they're not. But also not just of this, not just the clutch piece, but he's got to have more than 0 assists, and he's got to have more than 3 rebounds. Like it's just not going on. It's not going to cut it. On the flip side, honestly, I don't think the Pacers have to do a whole lot more adjusting. Like the thing that's noticeable in this series to me is the defense. High level of defense is being played. You have this like where every finals, right? There's always some role players somewhere that have a game. right? We had it with the Pacers in 3, right? Benedict Mathurin, right? Came out like, oh, this is his showing out party, right? You always have that where you've got these like next tier down guys on the team who have these breakout games. We haven't seen that really from OKC, right? So I'm waiting to see that from OKC, because if I'm the Pacers, my whole game plan is going to be around Shea at this point, because outside of him, nobody, like, who else is doing anything? Like, think about it. I mean, they're getting buckets, they're playing, you know, whatever. But has anybody had a real, true standout game for OKC other than Shea? It's literally, it's like the live and die by the Shea.
You could say Jalen Williams had one,
but he also had three. He also had 3 really bad games too.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, you need consistency. No, I agree with you. I think defense wins championships, right? And we're seeing that phrase like live and up front from both teams. You're right. Pacers role players, their bench is playing a top tier performance. They're starting in their role for sure. And that's where OKC needs a little bit more help from the next level players, right? Whoever they are, whether it be Chet, Jalen Williams, Lou Dort, Alex Caruso, more offensive. Defense, they're handling business the best they can. But Shea at the same time, yeah, you can't win a finals series with 0 assists in any one game. They got away with it this time, right? Just like the Pacers get away with it sometimes. So this is a great, like, you got the first one, I got the next one. So they're trading punches right now. But this is it. There's 3 more games, potentially. You think it's going to go game 7?
Well, I told you from the beginning, I was rooting for game 7 no matter what.
Right.
I honestly, I don't know. And by the time this comes out, like, it's either gonna be over and somebody won, or we're going to be literally having a game 7, right? So whatever predictions we make will be a revisionist history. But I will say this, like, if I were to have to make a prediction now based on what I've seen, I think I'd have to go with the Pacers, because there's 2 things that stand out to me the most. You talked about one of them, which is the deep bench, right? They definitely have a deeper bench. And obviously that doesn't always matter in finals because you're not going deep on your bench. But like they just have so many guys that can, and that kind of, you know, segues into second point, which is the bigger point to me. Dude, they're guards. Like Naismith and Mathurin and even TJ O'Connell to a certain extent. Like, you know, they're perimeter defense, and they're like, bro, like that has really stood out to me. Especially, be honest, how many of us are really watching a whole lot of Pacers games during the season, right? Like,
guilty.
I mean, so that really has stood out to me. Like, watching, and then they can after they D you up, they go hit transition threes, right?
That's the game.
Naismith, like, he had that game crazy in the last series with the Knicks are hitting multiple threes to bring them back in that game 1. Like, and I've continued to see the same thing, and it doesn't seem like they've let off of that, right? You know, so outside of this little outburst from Shea, right? Think about it. OKC was on the brink of 3-1.
Right.
This was a must-win game for them.
Absolutely.
Right. So now we're 0-0. That's to 3. And so for me, it's like, okay, if I'm the Pacers, I flushed that. And I said, okay, we're going to go hound the shit out of Shea with our perimeter guards, and we can keep throwing guys at him and throwing guys at him, throwing guys at him. And we're going to keep running. We're going to keep throwing lobs to top him. We're going to keep hitting threes. We're going to keep playing our game because it's been working. Right. So, that's kind of where I'm at. I just feel like OKC is just too reliant on one person. And I'm just not, based on what I've seen so far, I'm just not sure that that's enough. But I could be wrong.
So you're saying they're top heavy, whereas the Pacers are more evenly distributed, where they have more players who can step up at whatever time to really take or help take over. And on the flip side, right? So here you're going to attack Shea as a Pacer and really focus on him and make sure everybody else beats you, right? It's almost like the Michael Jordan way they guarded him back in the day. And on the flip side, if I'm OKC, I'm just making sure Halliburton doesn't go right. That's all I'm hoping. That's all I'm working on.
We watched the game, and every play, he's like, Halliburton just went right. Oh, Halliburton went right again. Oh, look at that. Halliburton goes right again. Why are they not adjusting? Halliburton went right again. Like 5, 6, 7 plays in the fourth quarter alone.
Right.
In the fourth quarter alone.
And my son and I were talking about this. And he was like, I'm like, listen, Halliburton, good player, really good player. I'm not putting him in the great category because once again, I haven't seen anything except he's going right. 98% of his game is going right at this point in time. That's fine if it works, but as a player, you want to evolve and grow. If you're a franchise player, you want to be in the conversation of the greats. That's the adjustment I'm making on him. Make sure he doesn't go right. Force him left. Show me you have a left hand, because right now he doesn't, from what I see. That's the adjustment on the flip side.
And again, that's where I feel like the Pacers got more weapons.
Sure,
because
right.
you could if they focus on Tyrese, that's fine, because Tyrese is not scoring 30 a game, right? But you know what he is going to do? He's going to dish out 12, 15 assists. So go ahead and focus on me, because now all my guys, they all wide open. Right. So that's why I feel like surprisingly, this Pacers team actually has more.
Yeah.
OKC.
Who would have thought, right? Who would have thought? So let's wait to see what happens, man. But I'm excited. Hopefully we have a game 7 and
these players are God. We have a game 7.
Well, let's move on. Deep or not that deep, NFL. A lot of contract. There's a contract edition, we'll call it. There's a lot of guys who are in some sort of like butting head situation with the management over contracts and not showing up to pre-camp and all that kind of stuff.
They want to get paid, and they're either skipping mandatory minicamp, right, or projected. Some of them are going, but they're like no activity, right? They're participating,
sure,
and then some of them are like potential training camp holdout.
I mean,
if they don't get paid.
So let me read off a few names for you.
Are we gonna do one by one?
Sure, let's do that.
Yeah,
let's do that. So Trey Hendrickson. The Bengals and his teammate, right, Shamar Stewart.
Of course, we're gonna start with the Bengals, and or as they used to be called way back in the day, the Bungles.
The Bungles.
I think the Bungles might be making a return because, first of all, like Trey Hendrickson, fantastic player. His loss is deep. If they cannot come to an agreement with him, that's deep. Dude deserves to be. Now, I get it. He's a little bit older. You know, he might be coming up towards the downside of his career. It hasn't worked out in the past for some organizations to put big money at aging pass rushers. Okay. But I don't know the dude has shown any slide, right, in production to say or predict that he won't continue to be a menace. He's been very vocal about how they've handled this. Maybe they don't have enough money because they paid Lamar and Higgins. They put a lot of money in the offense, and maybe the owner is a little
apprehensive,
cheap. So saying that to say moving into Shamar Stewart. So then they draft somebody, right, who it's like, okay, well, they drafted this kid. Is he the potential, is he potential replacement, on that D line? Maybe doesn't do all the same exact things that Trey Hendrickson does. But again, just another D lineman to try to, put pressure, on an offense and get to the quarterback. Like, okay, great. It's super easy to sign rookies, but this is the bungle. So of course, right, they want to add contract language, right? They want to add contract language that no rookie for their team has signed in the last several years. And in fact, not even the T. Higgins contract, which just got done 2.5, 3 months ago, it wasn't in his contract either. So Shamar sitting there looking like, why me? Why am I being singled out? Like I gotta sign this saying basically, if I get cut, you waive all my guarantees, you take all my money. Like, why am I gonna sign that shit? Right. I didn't want to come here for that. And again, in college, you come out in the draft, you don't get to pick your employer, right? You don't get to choose who you interview with. You interview with whoever says they want to interview you, and then you get selected where you get selected. So saying all of this to say, because I'm not going to get into who's right or wrong with the contract, whatever. Like an employer has the right to do a lot of things, right? That's fine. But when you're Cincinnati, division you play in, and the cherry on the top, that's long answer I've given to get to a point of why this is deep. Like, this is so deep. Both of them are deep because you had one of the best offenses last year in the NFL and you did not make the playoffs. Why? Because you couldn't stop a leaky faucet if you wanted to. They couldn't stop anybody. So putting up 30 a game is great. Fun, exciting for the fans. Joey B getting his numbers.
But
Jamari C getting his numbers.
Jamari C.
TH getting his numbers. Shoot, even Mikey G at the tight end position was getting his numbers. Not really, but he was doing well. But when you lose because the other team puts up 34, it's not
getting their numbers.
They're getting right. So like that's why to me for the Bungles, the Bengals, it's really deep because you need to get these guys in there. And if Shamar really is like an heir apparent to Hendrickson, then trade Hendrickson, somebody who needs a pass rusher, and get this other young man in camp and get him like, and to his credit, he's been there, even though he didn't sign the injury waiver and everything else, but he's been there, not practicing, but getting the mental reps, which I love because he could have just stayed away. That was one thing that I love to, if I must pick a side, I'm more on his side. So, yeah, Bengals got to get this. It's Christmas.
Wow. And it seems like most people, even media or not, are on his side of this story.
Dude, in the division you're in, you've got the Ravens, you've got now Pittsburgh with Aaron Rodgers, and they're still like, they've been perennially right there in the, right below the playoff mix. They're trying to push themselves in. You got the Browns trying to do something. We'll see. But like, you're in a tough division. Well, give Joe as much help. And that's not just shiny toy receivers.
Right.
You give him a defense that can get him back on the field.
Correct. Well, let's talk about, you talked about Aaron Rodgers. Let's talk about his teammate, TJ Watt, for the Steelers, right? What's going on there?
I mean, I don't know what's going on, but that's one that's got to get done. And I believe it will. Like, it's the Steelers, so they handle business. This is the anti-Bungles, right? Like, the anti-Bungles, there's no way. There's no way. I will be flabbergasted.
Okay.
I know you like me throwing words.
Of course.
Mortified if they got rid of TJ Watt. Like, that'd be crazy.
Okay.
That's crazy talk. So to me, it's not that deep because it's gonna get done.
Okay.
Like, but just the fact that it hasn't got done to now, like, come on, bro, like, this is what we're talking about.
What are we talking? Like, what are we doing? Houseway.
Even when he gets hurt and he comes back, he's still like first place sack. Like,
right.
Freaking monster. Get it done. Come on, Steelers. Get it done.
Right. Point.
Get it done.
Well, everyone's favorite, the Cowboys.
Speaking of another pass rusher,
Micah Parsons.
Yeah, I knew that's where we were going. Okay, yeah. Another one, like, dude, Jerry, come on, man. Like, to me, this one's a lot more deep because I don't know, man. The Cowboys are just a wild card.
They're the Cowboys.
Yeah, but like, he's young, right? I mean,
yeah,
he was the same draft as Pitts because we drafted Kyle Pitts before. Revisionist history. But I'm like, man, like he's not like Trey Hendrickson, right? Where you are on the downside, like, no, he's in his prime. Kind of dude, right? Like, you got Dak, right? Sign, like, what are we doing? What are we doing, Jerry? Make him. He should be the new bar or the highest paid defensive player in the 100%. League until the next guy, comes up to outdo it.
Yeah,
like, there's no question about it. You can put him, and not only that, he doesn't even play one position. He's a hybrid. He can go all over the field.
Well, maybe they'll make a historic number in this. Hopefully. We'll see. Let's go local. Our wonderful Commanders. Terry McLaurin. What's happening there?
That one to me is not that deep. I put it almost in the TJ Watt category, which is funny because you don't think of the Commanders as a team that generally gets things done. But these are not your mama's Commanders. They're not your, right. Or the other team, right? Dan Snyder's gone. Got new ownership group in. And if there's one thing that you're going to do, right, it's what? Make your young quarterback happy.
Absolutely.
And you got to have weapons for your young quarterbacks, especially while he's on a rookie deal. Like, the best thing that can happen to a franchise is exactly what has happened with Jaden Daniels. Similar to Brock Purdy, right? You have a young guy on a manageable rookie contract. You build weapons, they ball out from the get-go, build the weapons and everything around them. That gives you your best chance to succeed before you have to then pay said rookie quarterback, $500 million.
Some crazy amount, right?
With, $800 million guaranteed. I'm just throwing it out there. But so yeah, they got to get McLaurin. I mean, like, did you watch them play like that? So to me, it's
they're a squad.
It's not that deep because I think it's going to get done. I'm not as confident as the TJ Watt one.
Okay,
slightly less just because I think the TJ Watt one is the easiest one. But at the same time, like, it just has to. Like, he means too much. He's a fan favorite. He clearly has some chemistry with quarterback. It's got to get done. So I think that the new ownership group, Dan Quinn, shout out to my guy Dan Quinn, former Falcons head coach, they're gonna get it.
Okay, so it's not as deep.
It's not as deep, but it's still deep because he got to get it done.
Got it. Well, let's head up north, Bills territory.
Oh yeah,
James Cook.
This one's weird. Like, it's weird because the Bills have signed other guys from the same draft new extension, but not your running back who had a career year. And like the fact that they have him and Josh Allen as like the two-headed monster of like, okay, I can just sit here and pistol or shotgun, and I can give it to James Cook, and he gonna run up middle for 7-8 yards, or I can take it and I can scream. What you gonna do? Take that element out, and your offense is not that versatile.
Right.
And so, once again, I mean, similar to what I just said, but on the flip side, because obviously Josh Allen has the big contract, but you still got to give him weapons.
Sure.
Right? Like Khalil Shaker and Keon Coleman and Dawson Knox.
I mean, they lost
Dalton Kincaid.
losing Diggs, right?
They lost Diggs. So but even that, like Amari Cooper, like, but who's in the running back?
Correct. Who's
the backup they had last year was not bad either, but he's not James Cook.
Yeah, but that ground game needs to be solid.
Right. And to me, that one's deep. That one's like you have and not going.
No, for sure. James Cook was cooking last season for sure.
He was every time you look up, like another 6-7 yards, 6-5.
Bro, my son had him on the fantasy, and he was like carrying his squad week after week.
Week after week.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well let's head from freezing cold weather to nice, pleasant, sunny beach with Miami Dolphins.
Welcome.
That's right. Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah.
What is happening there?
Oh, he better be a future Falcon. So to me, this is not that deep because this one came out, earlier in the offseason, and they're basically parting ways. Obviously, he's not going up to activities, but yeah, not that deep, but deep in the fact that he better be he is a really, really relationship with our coach. Raheem was the defensive coordinator with the Rams when Ramsey was with the Rams. So like, and he was on like the pivot. I think it was the pivot was the one where he went deep in on how great of a coach Raheem Morris is. So like, of course, he wants out. Like, it's been the natural place that people talk about. I mean, we have Jesse Bates, and we've got the new rookie that we signed, and apparently there's another guy that he was a 6th or 7th round pick from Alabama, though. Didn't realize he's from the area, though. Yeah, because I found out because I was Googling football camps, and he had a free camp.
Oh, okay.
And I missed
the cutoff.
300 kids.
Of course.
But he was doing a free camp in the area.
Nice.
And I was like,
it's always next year.
I missed it. Hopefully, yeah. So, but he's apparently getting a reputation as a hitter too. So I don't know how that's all going to play out, but I think Ramsey will be a huge. Our defense, our offense is already stacked. Okay. We're in that Cincinnati territory, right? But we just have a better overall defense.
A little better situation.
We just need it all to come together.
Well, just another.
But yeah,
year.
Ramsey not deep in front in terms of the contract, but
deep where he goes.
It better be deep. Better be deep from Miami to ATL.
Well, let's go to ATL. Let's head over to the ATL.
I know where you're going to.
And you're a beloved quarterback? No, not anymore.
Mike Vick?
No, Kirk Cousins. How you like that? Oh, you like that? How you like that?
Yeah, there was a big fuss about him missing something, and then he came back, and he's saying all the right things. I mean, he said, his focus is on this team winning the Super Bowl, no matter how they do it, yada, 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 whatever. I don't, blah, blah. Don't care. Michael Penix show. What I'm really just waiting on is for camp, preseason, whatever happen. Inevitably, somebody's going down, and he should be the first call. Right?
Easy.
Think of somebody like if the Colts, right? Anthony Richardson has been injury prone. Daniel Jones is the other guy they brought in from your Giants. If he's not playing well and Richardson's injury prone, that's a call. It's an easy call, in my opinion. Right? Okay. Cool Spurs should be calling like a couple other teams if they don't have a deep quarterback situation, that could use a Kirk. But so for now, it's like hold the clipboard and chill out. It's not that deep because barring him staying on our roster, like the only way he's seeing the field is if Penix gets it. And dear God, if that. Well, and not to for like I just don't know how he'll play. Right? I mean, it's a wild card because he was such a roller coaster. Right? I mean, he had started the season bad.
Yeah.
Then he came out with a 500-yard game, and then he went on a string of a couple good games, and then all of a sudden went on this huge slide. I don't know what to make of it. So,
well, let's hope it's not a prank call.
Well, but no more prank calls in the A.
In the A. Okay. Well, it's funny you mentioned you were looking for a camp for your son.
Yes.
I want to transition over to the youth sports.
Okay.
Youth sports side of just the capitalism behind youth. And I bring this up because it's a topic that's really trending. It's really picking up, and a lot of the big sports personalities are speaking about it. Whereas Luka Doncic, LeBron James, and Steve Nash were on their Mind the Game podcast. Luka Doncic was a guest, and they did a 2-part series on just this topic where they talked about youth sports and the state of it at the current time, and just like the whole concept of how the whole idea of when you drive by now past a field or not a field but a basketball court. Normally, what do you see? It's empty, right? Kids aren't playing out there anymore. We run clinics, and I have parents reaching out to me. Oh, what facility is this being ran? No, we're going to do this outdoors, right? Where you learn to build character, grit and grind, learn how to take the heat. Like that's how we grew up, out on the concrete, hard top, like black top, hardcore, right? We weren't indoors all the time. That was a premium. So now and also the fact that how sports, there's a pressure on kids that you have to perform. You have to perform. And there's this constant pressure, and it's almost like you're driving kids to burnout too fast, too quick. And kids are letting go of the sport, or letting go of their love of the sport. And so Luka, his foundation did a study on this concept. It was a 5-month study across 2 continents. And what they realized based on that study was about 70% of kids quit youth sports or just stop playing about at the age of, don't quote me exactly, like 13, 14, because they burn out, right? It's almost like you're a child and you're not allowed to be a child. And now the adult is expecting you to behave and work like an adult because of that rat race that so-and-so is training, you need to too, right? If the kid doesn't love it. So we almost want that, we wish that journey that we would have been on, we want it for our kids.
Daddy ball,
whatever that may be, right? Or bleach your dad, coaching from whatever. Like you're always in your kid's ear about a little too much, too fast, expecting high expectations, which is maybe unrealistic so early because there's this whole concept of puberty, right? The kid hasn't even grown yet. They haven't matured or developed yet. And you're expecting greatness when he hasn't even learned the foundation and fundamentals, right? And then the other side of it was where Draymond spoke about it, something LeBron mentioned, specifically for basketball. And I feel like this applies to many sports, even football, where sports has become, where basketball used to be they used to call it the poor man's game, which has now become the rich kids' game. Because you can't advance if you don't train or have a trainer to pay to be able to get on a team, right? To a skill development or to get the notoriety. I train with so-and-so and he got this hookup connection, whatever. Coach is looking at that. So that's become like this fad now. Not everybody can go out and get a trainer, right? And training is not cheap. We know this. Right? We know this. So like the fact that you found a youth camp that's free, I'm sure that's probably got booked in like a few hours.
0.2.
Right. So that whole side of like how the capitalism behind youth sports is shifting, and then also from a training opportunity standpoint, and then also on the flip side, a parent, how do I keep my kid competitive enough to give him or her a chance to advance? If I can't afford it, it's out of my means. So now what happens? And then kids don't want to play outdoors. They want to go into these air-conditioned facilities. I know football is an outdoor sport, but you still have the indoor training stadiums. Same thing. I think same thing's happening for soccer. So what do you think about all this? Like, where's this really? What's going on here? It's deep.
That was deep. There's a lot of ground we could go, but I'll just start my own vulnerability and personal experience. Like, even just this summer, we decided we haven't had our kids in a formal summer camp since they were real little. And that we only did that because, my wife worked there, and then basically she would get paid more than what their camp tuition was. It was like an easy thing. It was like extra money in the summer, keep the kids busy while they're young and developing. Last year was kind of a rough summer. It was like, kids would get kind of restless at times. I was like, and I remember my wife saying, we need to find some camps for now. I'm not sure that she meant sports camps, but if she put it up to me,
she put it on
she put it on my plate, I'm gonna find a sports camp. So I've spent quite an extensive time researching camps around, and for football, for softball, for my daughter. And yeah, definitely the thing that's popped out the most is the price. I mean, for quality camps. And so even some of them had some discussions about spending, how much money to spend, right? And like I told them, obviously, well, each of them, I had them sign up for a quality camp, for a quality place. One of them being at St. James, which is a big facility around my daughter, right? And then sprinkling it with some other good camps and then some other ones that were still like relatively inexpensive that I don't know how it's gonna be like. So for example, my son is doing a football camp next week, Monday through Friday, 9 to 2 or 9 to 3, like that, all week, with one of the local high schools, led by their football coach and members of the football team, right? And it's for middle school. So it was only $175 for the week. That's comparatively to everything else cheap, right? Comparatively to the $475 camp at the prestigious facility, right? So to be determined, like how that all plays out. But just going to say, like, 4 camps each for the summer, I mean, easy $1,000. Right? And Nyberg has that. And so I definitely feel, I've been blessed that like I'm in the situation where I do kind of have it, and I can afford like a luxury of saying, okay, I want my son to train with this particular football trainer or do this 7-on-7 team that somewhat expensive, to have those opportunities. But I also balance those too, because again, like you said, there's so many dads, and I've been very careful to both my wife and to my kids. If you want to do it, I'm going to support you, right? I'm going to save the money and put you in these camps to do all of, my daughter, like I found this really 6-week batting camp, right? An hour a day for better batting. At a facility though, not outdoors, but it comes out to like $13. It's manageable, but it's in one chunk. It's a lot of money, but you're getting a lot for a value. But saying that to say, yeah, it's not cheap, especially if your kid, does have potential and could be elite, getting on the teams, getting the registration and then, travel teams on like, that's a whole nother thing. Cause you got to have money for the non-registration stuff. So we're just talking about camps here, if I have my daughter in 2 tryouts for travel softball. Now, do I think we're going to do that? Probably not, even if she makes the team. But like, I just want to see where she's at, right? So I told her like, just another practice. All we're doing is going to practice. It might be called a tryout. And if they want you on the team, we can say no, right? But it is very, very, the equipment's expensive. Registration fees are expensive. Get onto a travel or AAU or whatever, that's going to be expensive. All the other things that you have to pay for. And just to kind of put a cap on everything, I am crazy enough though. I say all that to say my rational side. I am crazy enough though that if D continues, both kids, especially D, continues on the path that they're on, I'm going to save up the money to send them one summer. IMG.
Okay. I bet it is. I bet it is.
It is expensive.
We'll probably wait till he gets to high school.
But it's the name. Oh, no, yeah. This is, I said one day.
Yeah.
Because that one day was like in the, maybe like between freshman and sophomore or sophomore, junior, depending on how freshman
he's
year.
at his development.
Yeah, it depends on how freshman year high school football goes and everything. But I also, why do I want to do that? If he's serious about it, right? Why do I want to do that? Because I know that I have to invest in something quality, right? And I know that's quality. Why do I know it's quality? Because how many players have come out? And I hope that gets back to the point you're trying to make, right? With all of these teams and everything, if your kid gets into sports, it's very expensive.
Correct. And then you just, like you said, you multiply it by each kid.
Right.
Depending on the sport. Softball, baseball is a very expensive sport. Correct. It's a very expensive sport. Golf, tennis, football is becoming that. Basketball is becoming that. There's probably very few sports, or if any, that are really for the they used to call it the poor man's sport until you are ready to get to some sort of organized fashion of it, right? So and then that's the pressure that you put on the kid though, right? You have this pressure to perform. And that's what's potentially for some kids, not every kid, obviously. Many kids, is from what the study is telling us, 70% is burning them out. It's taking their love away from the sport. And we learn a lot of life lessons through sport, teamwork and camaraderie, and chemistry, right? The intangibles. So at what level, right, is you find that balance where it's not detrimental and you still have your love, but you're not pushing to the point where it's like, man, it's not fun anymore.
So I would say, for me, and I'll be interested to see what you say too. But my tactic, because at first my wife thought that she's like, are you live out your dream vicariously through your son? I'm like, look, no. Second of all, it'd be kind of fun, but no, right? But he legitimately loves it. Right. And so again, like I said earlier, I've told both of them, if this is what you're passionate about, I'll support you. If something else, whatever it is, I'll support you and give you the resource. So D, if you want to do football, I will sign you up I will find camps for you. I will do these things because I work hard and I'm blessed enough to be able to do so. And that's what I'm going to choose. Rather, I'm not going to choose to spend the money on me. I'm going to choose to spend on you and your development and your passion. Right. But I don't just go sign them up for things and say, just go do it, right? We talk. We have a conversation. Do you want to do this? Do you want to, one of the camps that he's waitlisted, $550 camp, but should be pretty good quality if it gets in. Ask him, do you want this or do you want that? Here's the pros and cons. Let's talk it out. Do you want to do waitlisted here or do you want to go do this? I want to be waitlisted. So I think for me, it's also, I've heard of dads, teen dads, parents who just go and they tell their kids what they're going to be doing. Right. They take them around from activity to, I can see where that burnout could, but I try to take this. I think it's a good thing where like, let the kid decide, right? Let the kid help decide. Right. Here's your options. Here's what we could do, you know? And then if they say nothing, like, okay, well, then let's reevaluate if this is just a hobby or if you're passionate about it, right? I mean, and that's also teaching at the same time. Because either way, it's cool. It just matters how much time and energy we're gonna invest into whatever we're gonna do.
No, I'm similar, right? Like for my son, I tell them, or actually all my kids, my two little ones are gonna start this. We'll see. One is super excited. My daughter is like, So I was like, all right, well, you know what? Do the shortest season possible, which is the summer season for basketball. At least get a taste of it. So you don't have to do a full-blown 4-month winter season. Do a short season. You like it, great. You don't, that's fine. And then we'll try something else. No problem. And I'm never say you have to do it, but I want you to at least try, right? Because you'll never know if you don't try. Like, it's just like food, right? At least try. You don't like it, fine. So similar, my youngest is showing more enthusiasm. My oldest is, you already know, like he lives, dies, breathes, hope. I don't have to go encourage or motivate him. He just does things on his own. And his mom gets very frustrated. Sometimes a ball bouncing in the house, constantly like, go downstairs and in the basement and bounce. Because he just is hoop, all that. But at the same time, I do realize like the burnout portion. So every season I ask him, what do you want to do? Because he's always been in 2 leagues. Been in travel, and then he does the rec one in the sense of, I want to play up. I want to play older competition, which he does in travel as well, but it's more so I want to work on certain parts of my game. He focuses on building his game with the rec kids, and then he takes it to the AU group. I'm revealing my playbook here.
Sure.
So, and then he does a lot of external work outside of that, but that's on his own accord. He wants to do that. He talks to me about, all right, what else do I need to do to separate myself from the competition? So then we have that conversation like, okay, no one's doing this. So you may want to start doing this. A lot of these kids are only going indoor facility. So which tells you what? Remember that one finals when the AC blew out in San Antonio and they had to play in the heat and LeBron cramped up? Well, if you're used to playing in the heat, you ain't got to worry about that. Right? Not to say LeBron's not, like he can't handle, but whatever, like they're used to it at that point. So if you only ever played indoor, how do you know how to survive outdoors? So that just builds character. So you have to grow outside to succeed inside. That's in the sport of basketball. At least I believe that. And the other part of it is I give him an off season. In this, I don't give it to him, but like I tell him, you hoop all the whole year. You probably want to take an off season, right? Whatever that may look like. That may look like you want to train only. You want to take a few weeks off. You want to do other types of work that's non-basketball related to help your game grow. Not going to review. But so he came to me and he said, I want to coach. Mind you, the kid's in 5th grade, right? The kid's like, I want to coach because he helped me train this last spring season. And we trained like all the 8 different age groups. And he was training the 1 and the 1st, 2nd graders, even the 3rd, 4th grade. And he absolutely loved it. The kids loved him. So I paid him for it. All right, well, if I'm getting paid to do it anyway, I'll pay you so you can build that mental strategy, how to build a program, how to train others, what the foundation should, right? Giving a glimpse of my playbook here a little bit. And that taught him, all right, how do I connect with players? Right? How do I build a program? We go from basic cross to this and that. We grow, we develop. Then he started strategizing. So, all right. And he's like, Dad, I want to try coaching. This is beautiful. This is a true off season, technically, because you're not really playing, but now you're studying the game IQ wise. So now he's going to coach 3rd, 4th graders as a 5th grader who's already playing up. So when he goes and plays, like he's going to already know what the coach wants, thinks. This is why he's getting mad here and there. And like the advantage that's going to give him is significant. So his mental IQ, like I'm so excited to see how he coaches, his style. How do I deal with refs? As a player, like on a coaching side, you don't know that. You just know as a reason, he's calling a foul on me. I'm not doing anything. You Time management, right? These are team chemistry. How do I control this group of misfits who are not listening, right? Young kids, right? Elementary, like how do I keep them in control? How do I make them follow direction? How do I place position? How do I look at the defense and then position my team to do whatever? Like those mental exercises, like I don't know any other kid doing. So you're welcome if you're gonna take this. I expect my check, but I feel like that right there. So this also opened a lot of like aha moments to a lot of people who heard about this. So now he has an assistant coach. Kicked me out as the assistant coach, and he has an assistant coach. So now I'm security in case some parents want to, like whatever, I can handle that. And now other parents are like thinking, oh, I should make my son or daughter an assistant to help think the game, to get them prepared for that next level. So like he's already setting like a trend locally at least, but I know he has the mind for it because he's always strategizing, always coming up with. So like I'm excited to see how he's gonna implement. For that, like I'm super proud of him. Like shit, bro, you told me to do that at 5th grade. Like, I'll be like, huh? What is that? What is that? What? Coach, what? Huh? How do I do that? So that's how I give him a break, right? That's how he takes a break and doesn't get burnout. So now he's so excited to do it. He's enjoying it. So he still loves the sport without me having to say, or anyone having to say, oh, regimen, routine, 1,000 push-ups, blah, 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 whatever, 1,000 shots. Like he doesn't have that grind or burn anymore. So that's how we kind of like, and then the other side from a parent, as far as finances are concerned, right? My loophole around that is once I figured out AAU tournaments, I'm paying to see my own kid play. Like what? I got to pay what? $40-$50 plus parking to see my own kid play who's probably going to get limited minutes? Oh, hell no. How do I get in for? Oh, I get free if I assistant coach? Oh, if I'm on the coaching staff, I get in free? Bet. Let's go. I mean, think about it, right? You come to a few games, like that's what are you paying for? And then on top of that, what I learned, so 3 kids, $1.75, you said, right? $1.75 times 3 per season throughout the years. So, all right, how do I get around that? Well, I'm gonna volunteer. And then volunteering just turned into my passion, and passion turned into, I got hired as a trainer. But not everybody's goes down that road, but still like the way around it is to allow your kids to participate and not be isolated, right? And to build those skills and confidence and be part of something. You got to figure ways around the system as well. And that's how I figured out, at least for me personally. Like I coach, and now like the league is allowing all my kids to play for free because dad's a trainer, which opens the doors for them. But otherwise I'm dropping almost 3, 4, 5 bills per season, 2K. Like that's yeah. So that was my long-winded way of saying like there's ways to navigate it. But what I'll say to the new parents is talk to other coaches who are already in it, who have like, how did you, like, what was your journey? What was your path? So you can alleviate yourself from a lot of grief, a lot of those pitfalls and bumps that will frustrate you and be a lot of rough car rides home. Just having these ridiculous expectations. And from yourself.
I also think, just to put I'm going to go in a little different direction, but I also think that no matter how much it becomes a rich kid's game, right? And the haves and the have-nots and who can afford to put their kids in camps or not, whatever. I think there's one thing that will always continue to ring true in sports, no matter what, is that the kids who have the passion are going to make it the real true passion.
Absolutely.
And the ones that keep that passion, that don't say, oh, I did it for a couple of years and I like it, but I'm not that in. I'm talking about the ones that make it to the league and you're like, yeah, I've been wanting to be in the league since I was out the womb. Right. That true, real passion, it is most likely going to make it all day, every day over the kid whose just parents have money and was able to put them in camps. Because they're not going to work as hard. They're not going to scrap, right? You got kids that come from nothing, right? That make these. And why? Because they scrap. They know what hard life is. It's not because they got to go to a bunch of AAU camps, right? Or maybe in high school, they got noticed and had some people help and take care of them. As nowadays, they start the NIL recruiting at like 8th grade. You got to start thinking about your college brand. You gotta start thinking of your athlete brand. At 8th grade, got that text today.
That's crazy.
Right? From a parent who has a kid going into high school, right?
Crazy.
Asking about branding, like crazy. So the people who have a passion for it without the resources are always going to make it over people who don't have the passion but do have the resources, because they are going to scrap their way towards it, where the others are just they're not gonna put in the work.
So you brought up an interesting point, which I heard. There's an interesting like counter argument to that. Not fully. What about the players who've had the resources and still had the love and passion for the game, like the Stephs, the Kobe's, these NBA players?
I think that they're still even with the people who don't have them. What I'm saying is there's a lot of kids who have the resources whose parents are pushing them to do it when they don't want to do it.
Correct.
Right. And they're taking these AAU spots. They're taking these other team spots, or they're taking these trainings, right? They're not going to make it in the end over some kid who's just grinding through some other youth program that's very, very low cost in their community because their family doesn't have that much, but truly does have the passion. So, but the kids who have access, and like D or Tate, I mean, like we have a different level of access and resources in this area than we ever would have had growing up.
Thanks.
So, if they really have the passion and the resource, they're on I wouldn't say a level playing field, but again, I think at the end of the day, like sport is going to get you there more than the reach.
I think that's the separator, regardless of your financial background, whether you come from resources or not. If you have the love and passion and just committed dedication for it, you will always outshine those who buy their spots or purchase their mom and dad paid for that spot. Because in high school, your mom and dad can't pay for your spot for the most part.
That's another whole episode.
That's a whole nother episode. But for the in that sense, we'll stop that conversation there because that can get deep. But let's move on to the RBA aura, sir.
Yes.
You have someone special.
Yeah. So one thing I don't think we addressed it recently. We'll kind of start off with on a more somber note. The Colts suddenly, magically, their owner, Jim Irsay, several weeks ago, really out of the blue. Not that anybody was expecting, very out of the blue. So I want to pay my respects to him and the family. But on those lines, with the family, I came across this the other day, and I was like, I gotta use this as the RBA aura, right? Because the RBA aura is about people that have a different mind, a different approach, that are grinders, that are clutch, that who have some kind of adversity and you overcome it. Right. Or it could just be something as simple as, man, like the fact that you even take the time to do something that you don't have to do, right, is RBA. And that's kind of where this one, right? So this one is for Carly Irsay Gordon, right? One of 3 of his children that are now running the organization. They each have different roles into their ownership and what they're going to do. But apparently this came up last year, but it's now resurfaced light of her taking over, right, in her role. And so last year there was parts of the time during the season, she'd be on the sideline, headset on and a call sheet. And so as this article, this is from Pro Football Network. I saw it on a couple of places on Twitter, but I think I saw like a TikTok video, but first article about it. She raised eyebrows when she showed up at midfield before games, headset on and the clipboard ready. People wonder why she was down there with the coaches. Turns out she got a pretty clear answer. She wants to know exactly what's happening with her team as it happened. This is a quote. I need to be able to say, is this person full of BS? They even know what they're talking about. And I think one of the things that being on the headset has really helped me learn is such a complex organism of a football team, how it operates. You could say, oh, that person ran the wrong route. Then you learn, oh, someone tagged the wrong wide receiver and it wasn't really the player's fault. It was the person who called it. That was her explanation of why she did it. So with this article goes on to say, with the headset plugged directly into the coach's conversations, hears the play calls, listens to coordinators adjust on the fly, and can ask questions right in the moment. You don't have to wait for Monday morning meeting and blah blah. Every game he gets play call sheet, the same ones that the coaches use that break down the game, et cetera. And then she follows and has learned to understand what's happening, why coaches are making the calls, or she can question sometimes when you don't. So lastly, just sharing like what it says is when you're writing checks for millions in coaching salary, Irsay Gordon figures you should know what you're paying for. Real-time insight into game management, fees, bigger decisions, roster moves, salary cap spend, whether the GM is. And so like I heard all of that and I was just like, back to this concept of being rich, right? Like your owner is doing that and you are rich, right? Like I know owners like Arthur Blank, right? Falcon, or like he's going to come down on the sideline fourth quarter every game. This thing does it every game, right? Home, away, doesn't matter. He's going to come watch game on the sideline, right? But to actually be in the trench, coaches, listen to the play calls, figuring it out, knowing the fact that she said tag the wide receiver, bro, like I was like, that is so RBA. Like, and I think it's brilliant, right? If I were a billionaire owner, right, and I'm investing lots and lots of money, millions into these staffs, yeah, I want to know what they're doing too. I want to understand it. And if I have that much money to buy a football team in the first place, like I'm already a football junkie. So yeah, like me and coach, I want to hear too. So I just thought like it's such an RBA concept of like, okay, I'm going to pay you the money, but I'm also going to do real-time performance review. Real-time performance. I'm going to find out quick if you don't know what you're doing, if you're in over your head, if how some of the players might be reacting. It's easy. It's harder when you're setting up an office and you start hearing two different stories. You don't know which one's true. Oh, I can figure that out quickly because I've been listening. I've been watching. I've been studying. Do you know how much you have to study to get to that point to learn it? You know how complex those call sheets and those plays are? Like, have you ever heard John Gruden call a play spider Y banana? Like, crazy. So for me, I was like, just such an art, and I totally would do. So I'm giving Carly RBA aura.
No, bro, that's
for this week as she gets ready with her sisters to embark on this next season, Colts and beyond, and put their own fingerprints on how they're going to run the team. I can't wait to see what other things may spawn from it.
Bro, that was amazing. That was awesome. Like, I didn't know any of this, but I'm so like glad that I learned this, because as an owner, what's the best way for me to know someone's BSing? First, I learn it, right? She took the time to learn it. What owner is trying to learn the details, the nuts and bolts of their organization? They don't have to. Technically, they don't want to. So she took the time out to do that, get on the field, like you said, in the trenches. And just the fact that like he knows the play calling. Like she knows the terminology, the verbiage, the lingo. And then now when she gets in a meeting, right? Like, and they're having a coaches meeting and she's probably in there. This is going to put so much pressure on the whole organization that, like, she knows what she's talking about. We can't just talk in spider Y banana and not know what she's talking. She's not going to know what that means. Oh, she know what that means. And she's probably going to get feedback on it too, because you tagged the wrong receiver. Oh man, bro, that is awesome. So man, kudos to her, bro. You know what owner could earn a thing or two from her? All of them?
Specifically.
The Bungles.
And then they might be able to do some contracts better. So on that note, we appreciate y'all for tuning in again for yet another episode. Thank you. Jump in the comments. Let us know how you think. Let us know if you got a different RBA aura for the week. And until next episode, don't forget, like, subscribe, hit the bell, do it all. We'll be back at you next week. Till then, remember to think RBA.
Peace.